Hey everyone, this is Jenny Ditty Kang with the Village Group at Semonin. Today I am here with
Lana Carroll, and I'm also with the Village Group at Semonin, and I also have my own staging and design company called 502 Staging.
So today we're going to ask Lana a few questions about staging, what that process looks like, how much does it cost, and why can't we all just do it ourselves? Does that sound good?
Yeah.
Okay,
Let's
so
get into it.
The first question I want to ask Lana is, first of all, we've all seen HGTV and we know how to make things look good. So why would we even need a stager if we know how to make things look good?
Yep, and it's true. There's a lot of good tips and advice on HGTV. So when I come into a home, it's less about what looks good where and more about the psychology of a buyer. So I did go to school for this, and there's a lot of things that we cover in the classes. So one of the things is color, for example, that consumers recognize color before they recognize shape or form. So color is very important whenever you're considering selling your home.
Okay, so speaking of color, what's the worst color to have in your house, and then what's the best color?
Oh my goodness, I love this question so much. The worst color to have in your house is red.
Okay, I've heard that before.
Yes. The best colors to have in your house are cool greens or blues.
So the surprising thing for me was I had Lana do a staging consult recently for me at one of my listings, and we were looking at repainting the house. There was a lot of wallpaper in the house, and the seller decided they were going to remove the wallpaper and have it painted. So we asked Lana to come in and give us tips on color. So I kind of thought she was going to come in and say, okay, use this white color, and then we're done. I was blown away by how specific her report was. And what were some of the things that you considered when you came up with that report? Because there were about 4 different colors that she chose, and it was for different rooms. There was a different trim, different. So tell me a little bit about that.
So there is a method to the madness. So when I come into a home, I'm considering a lot of things. The first one being, are we listing, or is this for someone that just wants to live in their home and make it their own style? When we're listing, I'm choosing colors that work for the majority of the consumers. I'm keeping the audience in mind. And with that said, then the next thing I consider is which way the house is facing. Because if you are in a north-facing home, you're getting a lot of gray light. So a lot of times these cooler colors can turn really, really stark and seem institutionalized. And we want to create a warm welcome. We want them to notice the home and the vibe of the home more so than we want them to notice the colors of the home.
This part blew me away. This idea of north facing or south facing, I had not thought about that in terms of color. I just assumed you picked a color for the listing that you felt like looked good. Right. So that leads me to, I feel like a popular question is, what do you think about gray? Because for a while, everything was gray, and I'm still kind of seeing that some, but just wanted your thoughts.
Yeah, gray is out. If you are painting your home gray, you're immediately dating your home.
Interesting. Okay, that's a good tip, guys.
Yeah.
Lana, one of the things that a lot of my clients ask when we're about to list is, when I mention that I'm going to do a staging consult, they are a little bit nervous about the cost. They want to get the most for their money, but they don't want to spend a crazy amount of money staging. And they're also concerned about, does that mean they have to go buy furniture? What is that? Are they renting furniture? What does that look like? Can you give me an idea of cost and how that works and how you determine your pricing?
Yes, so a lot of people think it costs a lot of money to stage their home, and that is not true. So a lot of times I can come in and work with what the seller has and build off of that so that they're not having to go out and spend a lot of money. Now, with that said, it does cost money to make money. So when you're selling your home, you're thinking about an investment and what return on investment you're going to get. But typically when I go into a place, I can tell them where to put things. It's more about the sight lines than it is about the furniture that's there a lot of the times. Sometimes it is the furniture that's there.
Right. Well, I know yesterday Lana came to one of my listings and met with the sellers and talked to them about some things they could do before listing. A lot of what she talked about for this particular client didn't involve having to purchase new furniture or rent new furniture or anything of that nature. It was more how to work with what they had. So that was, I was happy to hear, and they were too, that they weren't going to have to go out and spend a lot of money. So that was I like the idea of using what you have.
And I'd rather be in sooner rather than later because I can help sellers determine what they need to do. So a lot of times I can come in and give them ideas of things that they weren't thinking about. But a lot of times what happens is they have these big projects in mind that they have to do to list their home, and they don't have to. So I can say, no, you don't have to do that big project.
Right.
I think your money would be better spent here. With my staging hat on, whenever you go into a home, you're always considering that the consumer is going to be younger than the seller. In these condos, they're sort of a different demographic than what would be for a newer, more modern home. So in this case, the yellow paint that was on the walls worked, whereas in other cases, it would not work.
Interesting. So I do think that's where your real estate background really comes into play, because one of the most important things when we're listing is we are trying to identify the buyer and figure out who is going to be interested in this home and what are the features of the home that they are going to be drawn to. So I really like that you take that into consideration when you're doing the staging.
Right.
I think that's important.
Yeah.
Lana also puts together a great detailed report afterwards, sends it to the client. She also walks through it with them and takes them around the house and says, let me just show you a few things here that I would do. It's kind of nice as a realtor to have a third-party person be the one to talk to them about this, because it helps take the emotion out of it when there's somebody else providing that feedback.
A third party. It's always helpful.
So Lana gets to be the bad guy.
That's right. A lot of the times,
depending.
I get to be the bad guy, and I'm okay with that because I just want to help people sell their homes for the most amount of money in the shortest amount of time. That's the goal, is to be able to when you think about your return on investment, to be able to get it quickly.
Lana, let's talk about priorities. And when someone is trying to make a decision about where they're spending their money, their time, their energy, how does that look?
So I do consider all of these things. What is the seller's financial budget, the energy budget, and the time budget? And when I come in, I can help them focus the areas of most importance for their specific home. So, sometimes you may have all these projects that you want to do, but a lot of times we just run out of time and energy. It is hard work selling your home and getting it ready to list. So, keeping all of that in mind, I want it to be a pleasurable experience for the seller.
Lana, when you're thinking about a specific buyer for a home, how would you talk about the process that you go through when deciding what to prioritize and that sort of thing in the home?
So I do have a process that I use, and the first thing is to delete all the noise, and the last thing is to elevate the space, because I really think that buyers these days especially are searching for less of a home and more of an experience or a lifestyle.
Well, Lana, thank you so much for being here today. This has been really helpful. I think it's so great to hear from you, a realtor, a stager, probably a counselor in all sorts of other scenarios when people are selling. But we just really appreciate you being here, and we're so fortunate at Semonin to have you as our stager.
Thank you for having me. It's something I'm really passionate about, and I'm excited to partner up with you all.